What else should be highlighted in making a healthy family? Parents need to be able to perform various roles depending on the age and situation of each child. Step-parents in particular play a crucial role. Take a look at this case. The father was trying to wake his son up to take him to school as usual, but found out that he was not able to go to school for the past 3 days. He was shocked and called his teacher immediately. The teacher said that his son has unilaterally used violence on one of his classmates. But the father later found out that one of his son's classmates made fun of his son, who is an immigrant child, for not being fluent in Korean. After suppressing his anger, his son ended up pushing his classmate. The teacher called his home and asked his Vietnamese mother to come to school. Bewildered at the situation, she could only think in Vietnamese. It was literally impossible for her to talk to the teacher as she was crying. Later, the teacher, without fully understanding the entire situation, instructed the immigrant child not to come to school for the next 3 days.
Dyingです。有受过。也有过。話さないよ。一样的。
The following 3 situations are where the Korean spouse needs to be extra delicate to make sure the immigrant child adapts to the new school environment. First is when the child visits the school for the very first time. The Korean spouse who is fluent in Korean should always be there when the child visits the new school for the first time. Second is when there is an in-person session scheduled between the child's teacher and parents for better communication. It is also good that you go to the entrance ceremony as well. Last is when the child needs to submit his or her parent's contact number. You need to make sure that the Korean parent's number is handed in, and you should never miss a call from the child's school. The emotional support from the Korean parent has a significant impact on the immigrant child's adaptation process. If you play your role as parent more diligently, the internationally adopted children tend to become more reliant on you than relatives or grandparents back home. I explained earlier that parents have different roles to play, depending on the age and situation of the children. Let's take a closer look. First is the role of a caregiver. A caregiver means more than simply feeding, dressing, and putting the child to sleep. The caregiver is the child's role model. Children often mirror your behaviors. Parents should never forget that children learn from their behaviors. You should always refrain from using violence against not only your children, but also your spouse. You should always keep in mind that violence refers to both physical and verbal. You should always be aware of the fact that the children are always watching. And always remember that the role of a caregiver also includes showing children that you care for your family.
パパが何を言ってるのかわからないのに、怒ってるばかりだから怖いです。パパが日本語で喋ってほしいの。
希望不要大喊大叫，希望能亲切地告诉我这样或那样做是不对的。
韓国語をゆっくり学べばいいって。ママも韓国語上手になるまで結構時間がかかったから大丈夫よって言ってほしいの。
希望能对我说加油。
Parents also play the role of a guardian. You should make sure your adopted children do not face disadvantages at school, as we saw in the previous case. You need to exert your full efforts as a guardian to enable your children to fully enjoy school life. Moreover, until they become full-grown adults, they need to be protected against any threat or discrimination. Therefore, you need to have interest in the children at all times. In addition, parents should play the role of an educator. You may think that you are not the perfect person to teach your children school subjects, but this is not what I want to emphasize. This means helping your adopted children to study what they want to. Going beyond simply sending them to school or private academies, you need to ponder upon ways to help the children to address language challenges that they may face while studying in Korea. Last but not least, parents need to play the role of a counselor. You need to reach out to your internationally adopted children with questions like, "How was your day?" or "Is there anything that I can do to help?" Show them that you have interest in them and ask questions in order to provide them with an environment where they can naturally share with you their concerns. If their concerns require parents' help in solving, you and your spouse can help. If their concerns require the children to think and make decisions on their own, you can just listen to their opinion like a counselor, and if needed, gently provide pieces of advice. There is one more thing that you should never forget. The UN Convention on the Rights of the Child comprises of 4 main pillars: the right to survival, the right to development, the right to protection, and the right to participation. If parents fully carry out the roles as mentioned earlier, you are indeed fulfilling all of the rights of a child as stipulated in the UN Convention. If you are not taking your adopted children to family events or gatherings, just because you feel that they are not yet used to their life in Korea, please remember that you are failing to endorse their right to participation, as well as the fact that this can become a form of emotional violence. Now, we have looked at how children and parents feel, as well as the various roles of parents. I can proudly say that all of you who are determined to help the children who will be faced with many firsts in a country that they came for the first time are indeed already great mothers and fathers. I'm also confident that the practice done together with your spouse can lead to making a warm and healthy family. Thank you for your attention.